Hello, soulmates. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And if you are new to this channel, you are highly welcome. So, in this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to cut and sew this beautiful gown that I'm putting on right now. As you can see, the inspiration at the center, while my recreation are the videos playing right now on your screen. So, in this video, I'll be drafting the pattern and I'll also be cutting the fabrics. So, if this is a tutorial you're interested, please like this video, drop a comment for me in the comment section, share this video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you. Welcome back, guys. So now let's start with the pattern drafting, and we'll be starting with the front pattern. So this is my pattern paper. As you can see that I have an extension at this side here, so I'll be explaining everything to you very soon. So there's an extension. The pattern paper is always length 36. So I'm working with a midi gown. So this gown is below my knee and it is 42 inches, so that's why I added that extension. So I'm labeling this pattern. So this line right now that I'm writing on is the knee length. My knee length is 38, while I'm working with 42 inches length for the gown length, so that's below my knee. So that's 42 inches right there. So my armhole is around 7.5, my is around 8, my bust length is around 9, my half length, that is the waist length, is around 15.5, while my hip is like 8.5 inches after the waistline. So now at the armhole, I will measure my bust divided by 4. My bust is 34, so 34 divided by 4, I'll measure it there. At the waist area, I'll measure my waist divided by 4. My waist is 25, so 25 divided by 4, I'll measure it there. And I will add 1 inch extra for the dart allowance. So we are not making use of a bustier for this gown. We are just making use of the regular dart and also the bust dart. So that's the only dart we'll be making use of. If you want to use a bustier, it is actually fine, but this method that I use, I did not use a bustier. So now at the knee length, I'll measure my hip divided by 4, and at the gown length too, I'll measure my hip divided by 4. So from the hip to the gown length will just be a straight line since the measurements are the same. So now let's make it pencil. So I don't want this gown to be penciled, very penciled, so I'll just be taking away a little bit from this end. So I went down by 3 inches, and at that point I took out half inch, and at the other point downward I took out 3/4 inches. So now I'll connect this point that I took out 3/4 inches, and at this part here I took out half inch. As you can see that it's smaller than the first part, and for this other part, this is how I will connect it. So I've made the pencil gown that I want. If I actually want it to be very pencil, I can take 1 inch instead of that 3/4 inches. So I will connect my hip to my waist with this curved part. So I'll connect it to my waist, and with the straight part I will connect the bust to my waist. So because I'll be taking a bust dart, so I'll be using 1 inch, and this 1 inch is the difference between my half length for the front and half length for the back. So now let's take the regular dart. So I'll measure my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 plus half inch. The nipple to nipple is also the bust span, so your bust span divided by 2 plus half inch. Mine is 3.5. Mine is about 3.5 plus half inch, so I have almost 4 there. So now for the dart, I will be making use of 5.5 inches above the waist and 5.5 inches below the waist. So this 5.5 inches is at least one, and your dart should be at least 1 inch away from the bust. As you can see that my dart is not getting to the bust, is 1 inch away from the bust. So now let's take out our side dart, which is the bust dart. So I measured my bust span at that point, then I connected it. So this is the dart. So since we are satisfied with the dart, is the next thing to do is the Queen Anne neckline. So depending on how deep you want your neckline to be. So but for me, I'll be using my chest line, which is also my upper bust. So that upper bust area is where your bust is starting from. So my upper bust is actually 6.5, but for this I'll be using 6 because I don't want my bust to be exposed. So I'm using 6 inches. So in case your upper bust is about 7.5, just deduct half inch from it. So now the first line I wrote here was a little bit shorter than the 6 inches, so I'm correcting the line. So that's the second line over there. So guys, for the neckline has to be very small. So for the neckline, I'm working with 2 and 3/4. 2 and 3/4. You can actually use 2.5 if you are like size 6. So if you are of bigger size, you can just use 3 inches. So for the wideness at this upper bust area, so depending on how wide you want it to be. So me, I don't want it to be too wide, because if it is too wide, your boobs will be outside. So for the wideness at that upper part, I'm using 4 and 1/4. So I'll still go back to that part. So for this imaginary neckline that I'm drawing, so the depth of this neckline is also 2.75. So that's 2.75 by 2.75. So that's the neckline that I'm using. So 2.75 by 2.75. That's 2 and 3/4 by 2 and 3/4. So I'm adjusting the neckline because it was a bit longer. So now I'll go down by 1 inch from that neckline. So it's from that point I'll connect to this upper bust area. So like I said, depending on how wide you want it to be at this chest line, depending on how wide you want your Queen Anne neckline to be. So for me, I'm using 4 and 1/4 inch. I'm using 4 and 1/4 inch. So at first I measured 4.5, but when I thought about it, I noticed it would be too wide for me. So I reduced it a little bit. So I used 4.5 before, but I corrected it to 4 and 1/4. So I just took 1/4 inch away from this line. So I will redraw the line very soon. So I was trying to place it on my chest to see how wide it would be. So I noticed it would be too wide. So to play safe, that's why I use 4 and 1/4. So that's why I'm reconnecting this wideness over here. So now the next thing we'll do is to measure this remaining neckline we have after the queen, after taking away that 1 inch. So whatever you have, just write it down. So I have 3.5 inches here. I know this is on fold, so 3.5 times 2, so that will be 7. So guys, because this is the first time of making this kind of neckline, so I was trying to play safe to be sure if this 7 inches I calculated will work. So I tried to draw another neckline which is smaller. So I measured the line again, and what I have, I think it was about 2.5 or about 3. So from my calculation, so the first one I calculated was about 7, and another one I calculated was about 5. So I know between 5 and 7, that's what the bead length for this neckline will be. So please just bear in mind in case you are not also sure. So just know that it's either you measure the neckline, the remaining neckline, or you just measure it straight like this. So when I measured it straight like this, it was 5 inches, but when I measured the neckline curved, it was 7 inches. So it's very important to play safe so you don't make any mistake. So now let's go ahead and cut our pattern. So this is the front pattern. So we'll go ahead now and draft the back pattern. I forgot to cut out this shoulder slope, so that's what I'm cutting. So this is the pattern. So let's go ahead and cut the back. So this is the back also, and this is the zipper allowance area. There's also an extension to this pattern, but this extension, instead of it to be 42 for the front. I'm working with 41 for the back because it is 1 inch shorter than that of the back. So this pattern has my shoulder, my armhole, my waist, my hip, my knee length, and the gown length. So this is 1 inch shorter than the front. So I will cut out this excess that I have here. So now at the armhole area, I'll just measure my bust divided by 4. If you notice this zipper allowance do confuse you, so I just advise you fold it in so that you don't make mistakes. But if it doesn't, just go ahead and measure your bust divided by 4 after the zipper allowance. Then my waist divided by 4, 1 inch for that. And I want to prevent zip bulging, so I'll be taking half inch away here. So that's why I added half inch extra at the waist area. So the hip, I'll measure my hip divided by 4. So at the nail length also, I'll measure my hip divided by 4. And at the gown length, I'll measure my hip divided by 4. So I'll also connect like I did for the front, and I'll make it a little bit pencil. So I went down by 3 inches. Then at the point, I took out half inch. At this other point there, I'm taking out 3/4 inch. So I'll connect like this to this point. Then I'll connect this point to the hip just like this. So I'll connect the hip to the waist, and I'll connect the waist to the armhole. So guys, for the zip bulging, I'll just connect like this, just the half inch I took out there, and I'll also do the same for this lower part right here. So I want the back area, the back side, to be also fitted. So I'll go down by 3 inches at this hip area. Then I'll take half inch from that point. Then I'll keep taking half inch downward. So I'll connect this to this other side. Just look at the way I'm doing it. Then for this other side, it will just be straight down. So it will be straight down like that. So for the neckline, I'll be using the same 2.75 I used for the front. That's what I'll be using. Then for the neckline depth at the back, I'm using just 1 inch. So now I'll go ahead and cut, but before I cut, let me also make my dart. So guys, for the dart at the back, I measured the zipper allowance away, then my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. That's your bust span divided by 2. So that's what I marked out there. Then I rolled a line straight up like this. So for the dart legs, so I'm doing 6 inches above the waist and 6 inches below the waist. Then I'll take half inch to the right, half inch to the left. Then I'll do the same thing downward. So this is the dart. So now the back pattern is ready. So let me label. Now let's move to the sleeve. So now this is my perfect sleeve. So this sleeve length is getting to my wrist. So the wrist is that bone at this part here, that bone. So this is where this length is getting to. But because of the extension, so we need some extension for this sleeve. So I'm using 3 points. I'm using additional 3 inches extension. So this 3 inches extension right there. So depending on how wide you want the sleeve opening to be, so I tried to use 22, which is 11 inches on fold, but it was kind of too wide. So I think I used 10 inches. So I ended up using 10 inches, which was perfect for me. 10 inches. So I'll measure 10 inches like this. So now from somewhere around this edge here, I will connect it straight to the edge over there. So as you can see how I connected it again. So now the next thing I will do is to connect this edge to the wrist area. So I'll connect this edge to the wrist area. So I decided to just use all the pattern paper. That is the I use 3.5 inches extension now. So and I'm moving away by half inch from my actual wrist measurement. So my wrist was 21, so I'm just moving away a little bit, just a little bit. So when I'm cutting, I will move it a little bit. So this is how you get that shape at that sleeve edge. So that was how I cut out the shape. So when I'm cutting, I'm not cutting on this line because I should move this by half inch. But when I'm cutting, I will do it as you can see what I did. So you go ahead and cut and your sleeve is ready. So guys, we are done with the pattern drafting, and in the next video I'll be showing you the cutting process and every other thing I did to achieve that beautiful gown. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel, click on that bell icon so that you can get notified when I drop this video. And if you haven't liked this video, please like this video, drop a lovely comment for me, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.